This is a beautiful testimony, and it just came very recently from a fan of ours in Japan. When we read it, Billy said, "Oh yeah, people need to hear this," because again, it's the way that the Lord works in our lives. It's so amazing. She calls it my testimony. I recently had a very strange and joyful experience of feeling love from God. My parents are almost 90 years old, and my mother has been suffering from dementia for many years. She has lost her sight and is unable to walk. My father was devoted to taking care of my mother. He fed her, took care of her toileting, and I think it was a heavy burden for him since he himself was also old. My brother and I consulted with the care manager in charge and tried to find a suitable nursing home for my mother and get her admitted. We finally found a wonderful home and were relieved to be able to admit my mother. But my father insisted that he would take care of her by himself and would not listen to us. He would not listen to me, saying that he would take my mother back home. As he got older, my father became more and more stubborn, calling the nursing home personnel and care managers and hurling terrible words at them. We believed that my mother had reached the stage where she needed proper professional care, and we tried many times to convince my father to let her stay in the nursing home permanently, but he did not accept our words. I prayed to God that my mother would be able to stay in the wonderful nursing home that she finally got into. I prayed that my father would stubbornly open his heart and understand that the nursing home is better for my mother than home. I also asked my church pastor and Christian friends to pray with me. About a week ago, my brother and I went to the nursing home to see my mother. My mother looked peaceful. I then went to my father's house to report that my mother was looking very peaceful, and I stressed how this was a wonderful, hygienic facility and better for her than staying at home. My father listened to me in silence. After a short pause, he said, "I understand. I was wrong." And he immediately called the nursing home. He told the care manager that he would stay there from now on. My brother and I were very surprised. We did not expect my father's heart to change so quickly. It was as if God was right there with him and had loosened his heart, which had been hardened like a stone. It was an event where I could feel God's love. I'm glad to share with you my experience of love from God. Best regards, Hiromi.